In 1992, when I was 33 years old, I interrogated a Bigfoot. Not questioned, not interviewed. Interrogated, as in a formal FBI interrogation of a suspect in federal custody. What it told me about humanity, about our true nature and our future, was so disturbing that the information was immediately classified. At the highest levels, I've kept that secret for 33 years. But I'm old now, and some truths need to be told before they die with the people who know them. My name is Daniel Cross. In September 1992, I was a senior special agent assigned to the Behavioral Science Unit at the FBI Academy in Quantico, Virginia. I'd spent the previous 8 years profiling serial killers, studying criminal psychology, and teaching interview techniques to new agents. I was good at reading people, at understanding what made them tick, at getting them to talk when they didn't want to. That's why they called me when the National Guard brought in something that shouldn't exist. The call came at 2:47 a.m. on September 18, 1992. When I called back from my secure line, a voice I didn't recognize told me to be at Quantico's North Gate in 45 minutes. No explanation. I dressed quickly and drove through the pre-dawn darkness. At Quantico's North Gate, 2 men in civilian clothes but military bearing checked my credentials 3 times before directing me to follow their vehicle. We drove deep into restricted training areas, then descended into what appeared to be a maintenance entrance, but was actually an elevator shaft leading to an underground facility. The complex below was something out of a Cold War thriller. Concrete corridors lit by fluorescent tubes, armed guards every 50 feet. We walked for what felt like 10 minutes before arriving at a conference room where 12 people were already gathered around a metal table covered with photographs, documents, and biological samples in sealed containers. That's where I met Dr. Sarah Martinez, a biologist from Johns Hopkins. She was maybe 40, sharp-eyed and clearly exhausted. Next to her sat a US Army colonel named Hendricks, 2 scientists from DARPA, 3 more military officers, and several people in suits who never introduced themselves, but had that particular stillness that suggested CIA. "Agent Cross," Dr. Martinez said without preamble. "3 nights ago, a National Guard unit conducting night maneuvers in the Cascade Mountains of Washington State detected an anomalous heat signature. They tracked it for 6 hours before surrounding and containing what they initially thought was a fugitive, or perhaps a bear." She slid a photograph across the table. It showed a creature approximately 7.5 feet tall, covered in dark, reddish-brown hair, with a face that was simultaneously human and utterly alien. The bone structure was massive. A pronounced brow ridge, a flat nose, a jaw that looked capable of crushing bone. But the eyes held an expression I'd seen hundreds of times in interview rooms, calculation mixed with fear. "It didn't run," Colonel Hendricks said. "When they had it surrounded, it raised its hands and knelt down like it understood what was happening, like it was surrendering." I looked at the other photographs spread across the table, footprints measuring 17 inches long, hair samples under microscopes, measurements indicating the creature weighed approximately 650 pounds of what appeared to be almost pure muscle. "You brought me here to interrogate a Bigfoot," I said. "We brought you here because in 3 days of captivity, this specimen has demonstrated clear intelligence," Dr. Martinez replied. "It responds to spoken commands. It shows problem-solving abilities. Yesterday, it used sticks to draw geometric patterns in the dirt of its holding cell. Agent Cross, this isn't just a large primate. This is something that thinks." One of the DARPA scientists leaned forward. "The military wants to conduct a full anatomical study. We have a week to prove it's worth more alive than dead." "If you can establish communication," Dr. Martinez said, "if you can demonstrate that this creature has language, has culture, has personhood, then maybe we can convince them to let us study it long-term instead of..." She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't need to. "Where is it now?" I asked. "Holding cell D7. This morning, it tried to speak." "What did it say?" "We're not sure." The vocalization was almost human, like someone with severe damage to their vocal cords trying to form words. But the intent was clear. It was trying to communicate. They led me through more corridors, down another level, past security checkpoints. Through the observation window, I saw it for the first time in person. The photographs hadn't captured the sheer presence of the thing. It sat on the concrete floor in the corner, knees drawn up, massive arms wrapped around its legs. As I watched, it lifted its head and looked directly at the observation window. At me. And I knew with absolute certainty that there was a thinking being behind those eyes. "I'll need a proper interrogation room," I said. "Table, 2 chairs, recording equipment, and I go in alone." "Agent Cross, that thing could snap you in half." "It won't, because it wants to talk. Look at it. That's not aggression, that's hope." 6 hours later, I sat across a metal table from a creature that shouldn't exist. Between us sat a tape recorder, the reels turning slowly. I folded my hands on the table and began with the same question I'd used to start 1,000 interrogations. "Do you have a name?" The creature's eyes held mine for what felt like an eternity. Then it opened its mouth and made a sound, low and guttural but with clear structure, Katlin. My heart was racing, but I kept my voice calm. "Kaylin, is that your name?" A nod, clear and deliberate. "My name is Daniel. I'm here to talk with you. Do you understand English?" "Yes, some. Hard to speak." The words came slowly, each one an effort, but unmistakable. Over the next 6 hours we talked. Kaylin's speech was labored, his vocal anatomy not designed for human language, but he was determined. He told me things that would change everything. His people called themselves the Saskat. They were not animals. They were not primitive. They had language, complex social structures, art, history, oral traditions passed down through generations. They had lived in the forests of North America for thousands of years, watching humanity spread across the continent, learning to stay hidden, learning to survive as we cut down their forests and hunted them into extinction. "How many of you are left?" I asked. Kaylin's expression grew heavy. "Maybe 60, all clans. We are dying people." 60. In all of North America, a species on the brink of extinction, and we hadn't even known they existed. "Why did you let them capture you?" I asked. "You could have escaped. You know these forests better than any human." "Because no choice left," Kaylin said. "We hide, we die slow. Maybe humans kill us all one day, or maybe..." He paused, struggling with the words. "Maybe some humans, different. Maybe some humans, listen. Maybe some humans, help. You took a huge risk coming to us." "Biggest risk," he agreed. "Elders say no, say humans only destroy. But I say, we already dying. At least this way we try, we reach out, we hope." I felt something break inside me. This being, this person, had gambled everything on the hope that humanity might choose. Compassion over fear. And in a week, unless I could prove his worth, they were going to dissect him. "I'll help you," I said. "I'll do everything I can." Kaylin studied me for a long moment. "Why? You not know me? I not human?" "No. But you're a person, and what's about to happen to you is wrong." Over the next 5 days, I documented everything. Kaylin drew maps of clan territories. He explained their social structures, their belief systems, their history. He demonstrated mathematical concepts, showed me their written language, crude but functional symbols carved into bark. He sang songs that had been passed down for centuries. Dr. Martinez and her team documented it all. The evidence was overwhelming. This was not an animal. This was an intelligent species, as human in the ways that mattered as any person. but the military remained unconvinced. On the sixth day, Colonel Hendricks informed me that dissection was scheduled for the following morning unless I could provide something more compelling. "What more do you need?" I demanded. "He speaks, he thinks, he creates art, he has culture. He's one specimen," a DARPA official said coldly. "For all we know, he's an anomaly. We need to understand what makes him different. What makes him different is that he's a person, and you're about to commit murder." That night, Kalin made one final desperate move. He asked me to bring anyone who would listen, anyone with authority. I tell them truth about what we see, about what humans do, about what's coming. I gathered everyone I could, military brass, scientists, CIA officials. We crowded into the interrogation room at midnight. Kalin stood, his full height imposing in the small space, and began to speak. He told them about watching humanity for thousands of years, about seeing us hunt megafauna to extinction, about watching us burn forests, about observing us go to war over resources while ignoring the long-term consequences. He told them about Saskat prophecies passed down through generations that predicted humanity would destroy the forests, warm the world, and ultimately destroy ourselves unless we learn to live differently. "You call us primitive," Kalin said, his voice stronger now, driven by desperation. "But we survive in forest for thousands of years. No destroy. No take more than we need. You humans, you smart. You build cities, you fly in sky, but you cannot live without destroying. This not intelligence, this sickness. Climate change is real," he continued. "We see it. Animals see it. Trees see it. Humans see it too. But do not want to believe. We can teach you how to live with changing world instead of fighting it. How to be part of forest instead of enemy of forest." The room was silent. Then a voice from the back spoke up. "I'm Dr. Rebecca Foster, White House Science Advisor. I was asked to observe this situation and report back to the President." She walked to the front of the room and looked directly at Kalin. "Can you show me where your people live?" Kalin hesitated, then nodded. "If you promise, protect them, not hunt them, not study them like animals, protect them like people." "If they're like you," Dr. Foster said, "then they are people, and they deserve protection under federal law." The next day, a military transport took us to the Cascade Mountains. Kalin led us, still in restraints that he could have broken at any time but chose not to, deep into old-growth forest that humans rarely penetrated. After hours of hiking, we heard it. A call, long and mournful, echoing through the trees. Kalin answered with his own call. They emerged from the forest like shadows, becoming solid. 5 of them at first, then more. 20 in total, adults and juveniles, watching us with the same mix of fear and hope I'd seen in Kalin's eyes. Families clinging to each other, ready to run or fight, but choosing to trust. An elderly female approached, massive and dignified. She looked at Kalin, then at us, and spoke in their language. Kalin translated. "She is elder. She asks if I bring hope or death." "Hope," Dr. Foster said firmly. "Tell her we come in peace. Tell her we want to help." What followed was the most remarkable diplomatic negotiation in human history. Over 3 days in that forest, with Kalin and other English-speaking Saskat translating, we worked out an agreement. The federal government would establish protected territories. The Saskat would be recognized as indigenous persons with full human rights. In exchange, they would help us understand how to live more sustainably, how to read the warning signs in nature that we'd forgotten how to see. Dr. Foster turned to the military officials. "Gentlemen, I'll be recommending to the President that we classify this entire situation under a new category of protected status. These individuals will be designated as indigenous persons with full human rights protections." That was 33 years ago. The world knows about the Saskat now. The story broke in 1994 after 2 years of careful diplomatic groundwork. There was panic at first, denial, then slowly acceptance. The Swift Water Preserve was established in 1995, 10,000 square miles of protected old-growth forest in the Cascades. Other preserves followed. The population has stabilized at around 200 individuals. It's not enough for long-term genetic viability, but it's better than the 60 we feared. We were down to Saskat scientists. Yes, they have scientists now, younger generation members who have learned human knowledge systems while maintaining their own traditional wisdom, are working with human biologists on conservation programs. Kalin died in 2019 at the age of 117. I was there when he passed, in a hospital room specially modified to accommodate his size. His last words to me were, "You kept promise, Daniel. You showed humans can choose compassion. Thank you." I'm 66 years old now. I retired from the FBI in 2013, but I've never really stopped working with the Saskat people. I serve on the board of the Human Saskat Council, help mediate disputes, advocate for expanded protections. My daughter works as a wildlife biologist in one of the preserves, studying how Saskat traditional ecological knowledge can inform conservation practices. The revelation Kalin shared with me that night, the thing that was so disturbing it was classified at the highest levels, wasn't about humanity being evil or doomed. It was simpler and more profound than that. Kalin told me that the Saskat had a saying, "The measure of a people is not in what they can destroy, but in what they choose to protect." For thousands of years, watching humanity spread across the globe, the Saskat believed we had failed that measure. We chose destruction over protection, conquest over coexistence, but Kalin gambled that humanity could change, that we could look at something fundamentally other than ourselves and choose to protect it rather than destroy it. The terrifying part is, we almost didn't. We came within hours of dissecting Kalin, within minutes of a military confrontation that would have ended in massacre. We were that close to proving Kalin's gamble was wrong. What saved us wasn't superior morality, it was individual choices. Dr. Martinez fighting for scientific integrity, Colonel Hendricks trusting my judgment, Dr. Foster seeing people instead of specimens, me believing that this being deserved compassion. Kalin's revelation was this: humanity's greatest danger is not that we're inherently evil, but that we're capable of both tremendous compassion and tremendous cruelty. And the difference between the two is nothing more than choice. Individual choices repeated across millions of people, either creating a world of destruction or a world of coexistence. We're still making those choices every day. The Saskat population is stable but fragile. Climate change is accelerating. Pressures on their habitat continue. But there are also people, more people every year, who choose differently, who see the Saskat as teachers, as neighbors, as fellow travelers on this planet, who understand that their survival and ours are intertwined. I think about that classified transcript every day, not because of what Kalin revealed about humanity's nature, but because of what our response revealed about our potential. We were given a choice between fear and hope, between violence and compassion. And for once, barely, we chose right. The question Kalin left me with is whether we can keep choosing right, whether that night in September 1992 was an aberration or a turning point, whether humanity can truly evolve beyond our worst instincts. I don't know the answer, but I know that somewhere in the Cascade forests, young Saskat are learning to speak both their ancestral language and English. I know that human and Saskat children are growing up aware of each other, curious about each other. And I know that Kalin's gamble was worth taking because the alternative, a world where we'd dissected him and driven his people to extinction, that would have been the real horror. That's the truth I needed to tell before I die. Not that humanity is doomed, but that we're always just a choice away from either salvation or damnation, and that sometimes If we're very lucky and very brave, we choose salvation. The Saskat are still here, still watching us, still hoping we'll keep choosing wisely. So am I.